That's a parliamentary budget officer who says that. It's absolutely true.
We love your Mr. Trudeau, and his family's always been such big fans of our family.
Mr. Prime Minister. Yeah. Please get the out of BC.
Have a wonderful day, man.
Yeah, you suck.
Look at his buck teeth.
Hi. Pleasure to see you as well.
Hey there, how you doing?
Shaking your hand, boy. Why is that, sir? Not the entire country.
Switch the boss. I think you're only here for another year. We won't see you around probably another year.
Well, that's what elections are for. Good luck and prepare you for next year.
No, I'm good.
All right.
Have a nice day.
Have a good day.
Justin. Look at this.
Guy hates Canada. Dirty.
Criminal.
Watch out,
It's
guys.
right to stay in office. You failed Canada.
I don't care if they put a goat in running Canada. It's better than what we got right now.
How many boosters, Justin? How many boosters?
For all the dead Canadians because of your lies and corruption. You're a liar, you're corrupt, you need to resign, you're a failure.
You!
Hello everyone, if you're a new viewer, welcome. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. If this is your second, third, fourth time watching one of my videos and you are not yet subscribed, we already go together, okay? Make it official and hit that subscribe button. You saw the thumbnail, you saw the title, you know what this video is about. Justin Pierre James Trudeau, the 23rd Prime Minister of Canada, the man who has been in office for 10 years, has finally resigned. In case you haven't seen it, here is the clip.
Over the holidays, I've also had a chance to reflect and have had long talks with my family about our future. Throughout the course of my career, any success I have personally achieved has been because of their support and with their encouragement. So last night over dinner, I told my kids about the decision that I'm sharing with you today. I intend to resign as party leader, as Prime Minister, after the party selects its next leader through a robust, nationwide, competitive process. Last night, I asked the President of the Liberal Party to begin that process. This country deserves a real choice in the next election, and it has become clear to me that if I'm having to fight internal battles, I cannot be the best option in that election.
I love how, in his speech, he is blaming infighting amongst the Liberals as the reason for him stepping down, not even acknowledging the fact that he has an approval rating of only 22%. But I mean, what else can you expect from an alleged sociopath like Trudeau? Did you know that Justin Trudeau had a younger brother named Michel Trudeau who died in 1998? He was skiing with some friends near a lake and an avalanche took him and they were unable to find his body. So to this day, they've never recovered his body. And here is an actual clip taken back then where Justin Trudeau is talking to the media about what happened to his own younger brother.
If Michel had decided to stay home and play chess and Nintendo, he would have been fine. But he chose to go out there, and that's what made the difference.
So as you can see, our country was being run by, in my opinion, a psychopath. Good riddance. Bye. 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 Can we just take a moment to celebrate his resignation? A moment like this, some people wait a lifetime for a moment like this. You know what? Let me sing a Canadian song. My mama don't like you and she likes everyone. You see why I do YouTube and I don't do music? I can't sing. You guys have no idea how excited I was. I didn't think this guy would ever resign because he was very clearly trying to bribe us into liking him. Going into the next election, just before Christmas, he passed a bill that gave Canadians a tax holiday. So from December 14th, 2024 to February 15th, 2025, there are no GST or HST sales tax on a long list of items, including groceries, alcohol, food from restaurants, children's clothing and toys, video game consoles. So people have been buying up a bunch of PS5s tax-free, and a long list of other items. This was a very transparent attempt to try to buy our love. But our love don't cost a thing, Justin, okay? You gotta treat us right. But you don't. So like I said, he wasn't going down without a fight. So I didn't think he was ever going to resign. But back in December, just a few days before Christmas, there was news that Trudeau had a big announcement, and people were speculating that he was going to be stepping down. All over the internet, people were posting that he was going to resign. So I had prematurely started celebrating. Now fast forward like 30 minutes, and then I found out that Chrystia Freeland, who at the time was the Deputy Prime Minister and was the Minister of Finance, and she was also Justin Trudeau's sidekick, she was the one who was resigning, not Trudeau. So I was very disappointed. The only cadeau that I wanted for Christmas was for Trudeau to resign. Now fast forward to January 6th, a day that will forever live on in infamy in both America and Canada. And here we are, a late Christmas gift for everyone who can't stand him.
Bye, Trudeau.
Now, in all fairness, he is not officially out of office yet because we have a parliamentary system. The Liberals are still in power and he is still in power. But Justin has prorogued Parliament, meaning he has shut down Parliament until March 24th. And during this time, they will need to choose his replacement, and his replacement will become the new prime minister, and that person will go on to be the candidate in the 2025 election. And whoever that person is, I hope they lose. Look, I have a clear bias that I'm not hiding, but you know who doesn't have a political bias? The sponsor of today's video, Ground News. Ground News is the world's first news comparison platform. They're an app and website that brings together related stories in one place to highlight important perspectives often overlooked by mainstream media. They also provide context on each source's political bias and ownership to help readers see how these factors influence the framing of a story or whether it gets reported at all. While exploring Ground News with my Vantage subscription, I came across this story. Trump pitches merge US-Canada after Trudeau resignation announcement. This story is being reported by 418 different sources, 40% right-leaning, 26% centrist, and 35% left-leaning. So this story is being pretty evenly covered by different sides of the political spectrum. But when we look at the headlines, we can see that there is a difference in the reporting. For example, NBC, which is left-leaning, wrote this headline: Trudeau announces he will resign as Canada's Prime Minister. Meanwhile, the New York Sun, which is a right-leaning publication, wrote this headline: Trump dancing on Trudeau's political grave again floats Canada as 51st state following his resignation. The difference in the reporting is not very subtle at all. The left is taking a very matter-of-fact approach to this story, while the right is more celebratory and a bit ruthless with the wording of their headlines. Ground News also has a feature that I love called Blind Spot. A blind spot is a news story that has political undertones and is disproportionately covered by media sources on one side of the political spectrum. For example, this story is being underreported by the right. Donald Trump's son, Eric, posts about the president-elect buying Canada on Amazon. 65% of the sources are left-leaning, 14% are centrist, and only 22% are right-leaning. Or this story that is being underreported by the left. President Biden does not recall young man's name during birthday greeting. 63% of the sources are right-leaning, 37% are centrist, and none of them are left-leaning. I wonder why. I really enjoy Ground News. Everything is presented in such an organized and straightforward way with multiple sources to help you easily draw your own conclusions. And in a world where it feels like everyone has a political agenda, it's refreshing to have a platform that is completely neutral. I'm excited to offer my viewers 40% off a Ground News Vantage subscription, which is the same plan that I use for access to all of their amazing features. To take advantage of this massive discount, go to ground.news/NCS, scan the QR code, or click the link in the description to subscribe for just $5 a month. Subscribing not only supports my work, you're also supporting an independent platform working to make the media landscape more transparent. A special thanks to Ground News for sponsoring this video. So as I mentioned, the Liberals need to choose a replacement, and there are two names that seem to be at the top of the list. The first being Mark Carney, the former governor of the Bank of Canada, and someone who has ties to the WEF and has supported the disastrous carbon tax, and Chrystia Freeland, a woman who always seems to be on something.
Minister Freeland discussed or mentioned the shared priorities that the two governments have. I'm wondering, would you describe a carbon tax exemption on natural gas for Manitoba as one of your priorities?
As I mentioned earlier, Chrystia was Trudeau's deputy prime minister and closest ally, so I really hope they pick her. It will be Kamala Harris all over again. The Trump campaign was very effectively able to hold Kamala Harris responsible for all of Biden's missteps because she's the vice president. And with Chrystia, it will be the same thing because she was the deputy prime minister. So, I mean, picking her would be a stupid idea for the Liberals, but would be great for the Conservatives because it would be a very easy win. And if Chrystia Freeland were to become the Prime Minister, it would be the second time a woman was the sacrificial lamb in Canadian politics. Back in 1993, Prime Minister Brian Mulroney was so unpopular that he resigned before the election, and Kim Campbell became his replacement and also became Canada's first female Prime Minister. But shortly after taking office, she lost the election to Jean Chrétien. And now we would most likely be in a repeat situation. If Chrystia Freeland became the second female Prime Minister, she would very likely lose to Pierre Poilievre. Of course, it's possible that neither Mark Carney nor Chrystia Freeland will end up getting the seat. There's a long list of people who are also in consideration for the spot, so only time will tell. Whoever is selected will likely lose to Pierre Poilievre. And in my last video, I reacted to an interview that Pierre Poilievre did with Jordan Peterson, and something I saw come up a few times in the comment section was concerns that he may have ties to the WEF, which is short term for the World Economic Forum. This organization regularly holds meetings in Davos, Switzerland, and during these meetings, leaders, politicians, businessmen, and other influential people come together to discuss global agendas like you will own nothing and be happy. They called 2020, and we all know what happened in 2020, but they called 2020 the Great Reset. They have also discussed digital IDs, getting rid of privately owned cars, so we all have to use public transportation or transportation services like Uber. They have also discussed a vision for the future where none of us own homes. We will all live in affordable housing, and they have been advocating for 15-minute cities. Now, 15-minute cities are a zone where everything is meant to be reachable within a 15-minute car ride. Your groceries, work, and other amenities should all exist within a district. This plan has already been put into action in many places around the world without pushback, but in the UK, this plan has faced resistance.
Creepy local authority bureaucrats would like to see your entire existence boiled down to the duration of a quarter of an hour, with the arrival of so-called 15-minute cities. This dystopian plan will see roads in some of Britain's most iconic towns and cities being blocked off, with cars being restricted to certain areas, all overseen by number plate recognition cameras installed everywhere, with a surveillance culture that would make Pyongyang envious. In some places, your car would have an allowance to drive on certain streets for a fixed number of days in the year. Some roads out of bounds to all. Many consider this idea laudable. 15-minute cities make everything walkable. You can go by foot to grab a coffee, do your grocery shopping, have a pint. And if you don't fancy walking, everything you need is just a 5-minute bicycle ride away. Lovely. Fans of this scheme say it will deal with traffic and congestion and make life easier, more convenient and sustainable for locals. Except that, as the MP Nick Fletcher, who's raised a question about this in Parliament, points out, these low-traffic neighbourhoods are having an impact on small businesses, given the lack of passing trade they now receive. Take a listen.
Will the leader please set aside some time in this House for a debate on the international socialist concept of so-called 15-minute cities and 20-minute neighbourhoods? Ultra-low emission zones in their present form do untold economic damage to any city. However, the second step after these zones will take away personal freedoms as well. Sheffield is already on this journey, and I do not want Doncaster, which is also a Labour-run socialist council, to do the same. Low emission zones cost the taxpayer money, simple as. However, 15-minute cities will cost us our personal freedom, and that cannot be right.
The concerns people have with this plan is that it is a slippery slope to eventually telling us that we are not allowed to leave our zones without permission or without paying a financial penalty because climate change. So in a nutshell, the WEF's ideas for our future seems to be one where we have less freedom and independence, and Justin Trudeau, as well as his cabinet, are buddies with the Forum and its leader, Klaus Schwab.
What we are very proud of now is the young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau, President of Argentina and so on, that we penetrate the cabinets. So yesterday I was at a reception for Prime Minister Trudeau, and I know that half of this cabinet, or even more half of this cabinet, are for our actually young global leaders of the World Economic Forum.
So given all of this, it is understandable why Canadians are concerned about electing a new leader with ties to this organization. And not to scare my American viewers, but Donald Trump has participated in the meetings at the Forum, the WEF. That doesn't necessarily mean he supports their agenda, but I'm just making sure my American viewers are aware that he has attended and spoken at past meetings. Now, Pierre Poilievre has been accused of having ties to the WEF because when using the Wayback Machine, this page comes up. In an interview with an independent Canadian outlet called True North, Pierre was asked about his ties to the organization, and this was his response.
Is there a connection there? Have you ever spoken at a World Economic Forum event?
No, I have not. No, I've never been to Davos. I've never been part of the organization, and I don't agree with its publicly stated policy objectives. My policies are different. I obviously support small government, more freedom, and individual independence. So I just have a fundamental disagreement with the organization's policy outlook. And that is something that you can look at my track record. I said that on the floor of the House of Commons. I said it in parliamentary committees.
When later asked why his name appears on the website at all, this was his response.
The truth is, I don't know exactly why they put me there, but I did have my staff email them and ask them why it was there. The only explanation that they had that made any sense was that they republished an article of mine or something like that. Okay. So they had publishing agreements with papers, and I write a lot of articles in many papers, so that's the only explanation that they could give. Of course, I'm not part of it.
Now, I personally have not been able to find any pictures or videos or any information of him at these meetings, and he says as Prime Minister, he will ban any members of his cabinet from attending the meetings, so that is reassuring. Anyways, that is all I have for this video. What are your thoughts on his resignation? And if any of you from the UK are watching, I'm very curious to know how you guys feel about Keir Starmer. Let me know in the comment section down below. If you like this video and you would like to see more like it, I will have 2 more videos for you in the end cards. A special thanks to Ground News for sponsoring this video. I will see you guys in the next one. Take care. Bye.